Hello there, everyone. Revolution Pro Wrestling matchmaker, owner, Andy Quilden here. We're doing this video today as a very special video because we're joined by one of the finest stars in Revolution Pro Wrestling who's asked to have a conversation with myself and for it to be documented for all to see. And it's someone who you're all going to be very familiar with. So without further ado, Kanji, thank you for joining us.
So thank you. Thank you for doing this and agreeing to this.
So look, it's no secret that we've seen a different side of you in Revolution Pro Wrestling since the turn of the year, really. And I think a lot of that can be attributed to Alexis Falcon. And I think that, you know, Alexis has had her chance to say a lot of things, and I think it can't be debated that a lot of the time she's not just towed the line, she's gone well past the line of kind of what's acceptable, not just in what she's said, but what she's done as well. And obviously, you've reacted in a way that I've never seen from yourself before. So I guess I want to start by asking you, like, what is it about Alexis Falcon that pushes your buttons in such a way?
The thing that affects me the most with what Alexis is saying and insinuating is humiliating for me because it's so out of my character personally, not just for Kanji. And I have enough dignity to admit that it is embarrassing and I don't like it. I'm not afraid to say that. But the thing that it does is that I'm not happy with is that I'm not able to, she's pushing me that far that I'm not even able to control how I react to when she says it. It affects me that much because I'm that embarrassed and humiliated by everything she's able to say. And she finds it funny. And that's even more more infuriating to see that. It doesn't affect her.
Yeah, I completely understand, and like I say, I feel Alexis has certainly crossed the line on a number of occasions. I mean, when you think about it, when you think about professional wrestling, it's one of those things where people look for any advantage, and I feel like in many ways, especially when it comes to the women's division here in Revolution Pro Wrestling, you've seemed almost untouchable for a long time because of a level that you're able to compete at, sorry. So could you look at this and just say, well, look, this is Alexis trying to get a competitive advantage, or do you think it goes beyond that?
I tried. I've tried. I've been in the ring with Alexis Falcon quite a few times, and I feel like there has always been a professional boundary when we're in the ring. I don't know what has happened for her to completely flip that on its other side and turn to this personal element of breaking me down. I don't know what it is, but something has switched in her brain where she feels obviously that she can get the upper hand if she dives into this deeper level of who Kanji is. And I don't think it's acceptable at all. I'm very professional. I'm a professional wrestler. I love wrestling. I respect the sport. I respect it as an entertainment purpose. And she's just taking it too far, which is bringing me out of my element of professionalism. And I think that is what is making me disappoint myself. And that's what I'm not happy with. I'm not happy with her as for one point, but I'm unhappy with myself being able to let her take me out of who I really am as a professional.
So look, I completely understand what you're saying. I can feel and sense you getting worked up just even at the mention of Alexis's name. So we will come back to this. But come on, just ask you some questions about your wrestling. So when we see you compete in the ring, very often from bell to bell, there's not many people as intense, as serious, as on the money as you are. You don't hold anything back. That's your star, I think it's fair to say. Um, but we've also seen is the second the match is over, you almost snap out of that focus, so to speak. Like, how are you able to up until this point, obviously, how are you able to channel those emotions? And do you just see wrestling as a bell to bell business?
I think professional wrestling is a sport, but the element of entertainment is just as equal. I think it's a balance. And I think when I'm in the ring and the bell rings, my main focus is to win. That's it. My aim as a wrestler is to win and to respect the rules of professional wrestling. And as soon as that match is over, whether I win or whether I lose, that's it. The the match is over. I can now almost relax because it's the end. It's when someone is disrespectful to the rules of professional wrestling, so that when the bell is rung and it's all done and they don't stop, that's when I don't stop, because the match hasn't finished and has it. But if someone is able at the end of that match to stop and accept that this is the end of the match, then we respect the score. And that's how I feel. And I love it. I love wrestling. I love it. And I have my whole heart in everything I do. And when someone comes and either doesn't have heart and doesn't feel the passion for wrestling and the professionalism of it, then that affects me in a negative way just as much as the next person, I feel. Well, the next person it should affect as well.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of admirable the way you go about in your business, and I feel that if everyone conducted themselves in that way, my job would be a lot easier and the world would be a lot more peaceful place, because ultimately that's where it is. We're focused on that bell to bell competitiveness, but underneath everything, and especially at the level where we're doing this, where we're scratching and clawing for attention, for opportunity, for moments, it's so important there's an underlying respect between everyone involved. So it's always an absolute pleasure to kind of do business with you. And I say that, and I'd say that even if you weren't sat next to me right now. I do want to ask. So obviously, look, we've spoken about Alexis Falcon and the way she's been able to push your buttons. You've been doing this for a long time now. Can you remember anyone who's been able to kind of push your buttons like Alexis Falcon? Is there a parallel situation that you can kind of relate back to in your career?
I think there's been a few competitors that I have wrestled that have pushed me to a point where I have really lost my temper. But I feel that there's always been a point where I can put it back and separate wrestling to real life. However, in this case with Alexis, I think she's taken it away from wrestling and she's making it my whole life. Um, and I think that's just because she's able to not just embarrass me as Kanji, but she's able to humiliate me as a person. Like, she's spat on me. Who spits on someone in a professional wrestling match? That's just not something that you do. And that really triggered me. And then when she's coming out and I think the title picture at Rev Pro is a very sensitive subject for me, because of where the story is heading and where the championship is, and relationships in terms of who is surrounded by the championship. And she knows that, which is why she's been able to flip what she knows my characteristics are on its head and insinuate horrible, vulgar things. That is something that I do talk about. I've grown up in with a very religious background, from Catholic family to Hindu family, and it's just something that we don't talk about. So for her to come out in front of hundreds and probably thousands of people that can watch it and say these things about me that my family would see, I'm not happy with that. I'm really not happy with that. And that's bringing the personal aspect, because now I'm thinking about my family. I'm thinking about my friends who are outside of wrestling. I don't want them to see that. I don't want them to think of me in that light that she's talking about. And nobody has ever made me step out of Kanji into real life like she has. And I think that's what scares me the most.
So you say that's what scares you.
Mm.
Are you scared of what you might be capable of?
Yes. Yeah. I thought Kanji was the warrior, the strongest thing in my mind and in my heart in the ring. But actually, I think when it comes to protecting myself as a human being, that's a whole new ball game there. And I think adrenaline takes you so far, but I think there's something more that takes you far when you're protecting yourself and who you are as a person in the world, not just the world of wrestling. It's so much deeper than that.
Yeah, and I think that that's something that obviously sometimes we have to take a step back and remember that we are in our own little bubble, but there's so much beyond that, and that's why these situations can escalate in such a manner, especially with such a immense pressure. Um, and I do want to. Look, I know you've kind of referenced it briefly, but it'd be remiss of me not to talk about the elephant in the room, and that is the status of the undisputed British Women's Championship. That is your friendship with the former champion Mercedes Monet. Um, Obviously, look, it was a huge honor. It was a huge privilege of you to be the first British independent match of Mercedes Monet, um, and to prove a lot. I mean, you had a lot of weight on your shoulders then. Like, so look, I guess we can break this down a little bit. So you're feeling a lot of pressure now. You were feeling a lot of pressure last April as well. Can you liken the two, or is it something which is completely different?
It's so different. And I think when it came to wrestling Mercedes Monet for the first time, welcoming her into our scene was something special, not just for me, but for all the women on not even just the independent scene in Britain, but I think in the world, because we had all eyes on us and let's see what Mercedes can do when she's out with this big company. Um, and so that was the pressure that we had. And I feel like we have such an amazing support network here at RevPro and in the British wrestling scene. So I didn't feel like all the pressure was on me. I felt that the pressure was on us to make sure that we did the best we could to introduce her to who we are. And I think we smashed it. I think we really did.
I think you smashed it, and look, I I know you've spoken about your background, and to me, everything you've said, you come across as very selfless, and I think that's quite unique in this business. And I think sometimes there needs to be an element of selfishness in this business as well, because it's an individual sport. It's not a team sport. And I understand, again, I feel like when I talk to you, I feel like you look beyond, like I say, this small bubble. You think about the bigger picture. So when you're looking at your match with Mercedes, you're not looking at this as an opportunity for you to further your career. You're looking at it as an opportunity for women's wrestling. You're looking at it as an opportunity for British wrestling, for Revolution Pro Wrestling. You're thinking about the very bigger picture very selflessly. Now, I don't know if this is a leading question or not, but I want to ask you. So, you after that contest, there was a huge degree of respect between yourself and Mercedes, and of course, you've already spoken about how important respect is to yourself and the way you view professional wrestling. And it is no doubt when that bell rung at the end of the contest, there was a newborn respect and a bond between the two of you. Um, I think many people always thought that there would be an inevitable clash between you and Mercedes again and again, very much born out of the respect between the two of you. Um, but do you ever regret keeping Mercedes so close to you after that contest because perhaps it delayed a potential clash between the pair of you?
Um, I think I gained invaluable experience working so close to her. And I think because we gained that mutual respect after the match, we went on then to team together, um, and work together on a sense of tag team wrestling. And I think I gained so much knowledge and an incredible experience through that working relationship with her and seeing how she works in that sense. Whereas I think if it was a different story and the respect wasn't there and it led to another match where the championship possibly could have changed hands between me and her, that would have been one more experience with her, which probably would have been another invaluable experience. Whereas we gained mutual respect there, and that's led on to multiple opportunities where I can work alongside him. And so there's nothing I regret in the relationship that we formed together from that very first instant to now. Nothing I regret, because I feel like the journey that we've had has been more valuable to me and to the rest of the Rev Pro Women's division as well, because it's led for the other women to experience her and her work ethic and her talent and experience. And I think that's what she should be coming here to do.
It's also, again, I don't want to, I'm not trying to push any buttons, but it's also created a touch point, if you will, for Alexis Falcon, which has been able to, again, push those buttons of yourself. And I guess that's why I'm just interested to know, do you feel that, I understand no regret, so I love that philosophy. Um, but do you think is now a time for you to start being selfish, or are you going to continue what all you to the dance, I guess?
Well, I don't know what Alexis Falcon's game is. I don't know what she's trying to gain from this. I don't know what her end goal is, because I don't have a championship. I don't have an opportunity to wrestle for the championship yet. So why all of a sudden has she come all guns blazing on me? I don't know.
Well,
But
I think that's a testament to yourself and, you know, your level over the last 18 months or so. You know, I feel like you are the woman to beat here in Revolution Pro Wrestling. You are the flag bearer for Revolution Pro Wrestling. You're someone who everyone looks up to in the locker room. And, you see, I get young girls come to our training school and they say they want to be like Kanji, and I think that's what Alexis Falcon's got to gain from this, because obviously with that contest with Mercedes, you must have felt it yourself. There's added eyeballs onto you. There's people looking at you. There's people who now know who you are. You more than held your own, and you deserve to be known by those people before that match. But that's what that Mercedes Monet match was. That was a showcase for exactly who you are and what you can be about. And I know, you don't have an ego on this. And I know you look at this and say, no, that's what women's wrestling is. That's what British wrestling is. That's what Rev Pro is. But it was about you. And I feel like there is a time to be selfish. And maybe that time is coming due. But look, I've kept you for a while now. I just want to close on a couple of things. The first one I want to ask you is, do you still have aspirations for that undisputed British Women's Championship?
100%. It's always been the goal. Always. No matter what it takes, I know deep down in my heart that whenever that opportunity comes, I will be the undisputed Rev Pro Women's Champion at some point. I know it, because I will not stop until I'm holding that championship.
And I believe those words. I genuinely believe those words. And I guess the last question I want to ask you, I think we've touched on it. There's a lot of stuff we could go back and we could unpick this in further detail. The last question I want to ask you is directly, if you've got any words for Alexis Falcon right now.
Hmm. I want to let her know that I know that she's playing a game, and I don't want to know what her goal is, what her end goal is, because it doesn't matter. And I know that it's not on us to be in charge of judgment and punishment, but whenever I get the opportunity to get my hands on Alexis Falcon, I will be laying the punishment down. Whether that's my responsibility or not, I will get my own back for the feelings that she's made me feel. And I will feel so much better. I will feel so much better. And by any means necessary, I will come on top.
Oh, I wouldn't want to be Alexis Falcon right now. I'll tell you that for nothing. But listen, Kanji, I know it's been a different time for you. But if I can say anything, is just keep being you, because what has earned you the respect of the fans, your peers, the people from all over the world, all different walks of life, is the fact that you're true to yourself. And I'm glad that we had this opportunity to talk to you, to find out what's kind of been going on, and know that people care about you, and people were worried to see, the place that Alexis Falcon's taken you to. We will, of course, do whatever we can to clear this up in the realms of professional wrestling. But as you alluded to, there's lots of things which go beyond professional wrestling, and I think that somewhere we need to kind of draw a line in this, and we'll work with you to try and figure it out. But thank you again for joining us. It's been a ride the past few years, and I'm sure there's many more things to come.
Thank you very much. Thank you.